Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'll be talking about teens. And if you are a teen watching this, you're in luck because this video I'm going to be giving advice that I wish I knew when I was a teenager, but definitely when you're going through that phase, the last thing you want to be listening to is other people giving you advice about how your years should be spent. But these I feel like are really ones that need to be heard and should be focused on when you are a teen, and it will really help guide you in the upcoming years that you have to face. So let's just start. The first tip that I'm going to give is to make good friends, not more friends. Quality is more important than quantity. Trust me. I feel like we all learn that way too late in life, but the first phase in life that we really don't consider quality over quantity is when we're making friendships during our teenage years. In high school, it's the popular kids that have many friends that walk around in groups and crowds in the corridors and whatnot and make all the other people in the high school feel like they don't have that many friends, and as if it's a bad thing. But honestly, it really isn't. Firstly, those people, if you were to meet them 40 years down the road and ask them who their best friends were, it would only end up being 2 to 3 people out of those friend groups that they were in constantly, because they realized that those 20 friendships that they were involved in were not really friendships, because the relationships between the two of them were not worth anything. And so they just realized that, having 2 or 3 really is what matters. And this idea is directly relating to quality of friends instead of quantity. I remember being in my grade 12 biology class, and the girl sitting beside me was actually one of the girls that, we would consider popular. She was in the group that had like 20 plus friends, that they would be acquainted with every single day. And I just remember her like feeling like she needed to get something off her chest. And since I was the kid kind of that was not really a popular kid, she felt like she could share it with me. And so she did. She went ahead and she shared something with me about one of her friends in her friend group. And basically all she was doing is talking bad about this one friend and her boyfriend. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself that she's talking all these bad things about her friends, whereas she's supposed to be supporting them. And that just hit me like so hard, that like the fact that she has so many friends, but none of those relationships meant that much to her was like insane. Because I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, what, 14 years old? And I'm realizing that these popular kids don't value their relationships, whereas I guess the non-popular kids, we really do value our relationships and our friendships. We will have 2 or 3 and they mean the world to us. And so this just opened my eyes and honestly made me realize how rare loyalty is, especially in relationships. And so I feel like if you find real loyalty in your friendships, you should really keep it, or if you don't, you should really try to find it. It can be hard, but once you find it, I think you should really try to keep it. Okay, next one. Grades are not everything. I feel like you might have heard this, and it's really true. I'm like, grades really aren't it. Like, they really are not a make or break thing in your entire life. At this age, we all have the fear of failure, and it's really important to note that being first in your class or having the highest grade is literally not what defines you. And why is this? This is because in the classroom, you are only learning things about particular subjects and courses. You're not learning anything about life. In classrooms, we are given the opportunity to learn the content, and then we're given the test, right? But in reality, we're actually given the test first, and then we learn. We learn from our mistakes and we try to correct them. So you can see why grades don't really mean anything in actuality. And if someone in your class is always first, or like always second or third in your class or grade, they're always going to be tensed because they need to hold up that title. They need to keep that average like for the entire 4 years, right? Because they've been first or second like consistently, that if they want to stay at that position, they have to consistently keep trying. But someone who came 59th in their class doesn't have that type of pressure. Yeah, they have the kind of concept to try and do better. They can from 59th become 57th, but can you see the difference between that two? They're ranking higher, and that's instead helping them. Whereas you're already first or second, it's just going to stress you out more, and you have more on your plate because you're already at the highest all you can do from that position is drop. You can't go higher. So a person who's at 59 has a lot more opportunities to present themselves in a better way than someone who's always coming first. So in conclusion, don't worry too much about grades, because in reality, in life, you're going to be given your test first, and from there, you're going to be given the opportunity to learn from that. Okay, number 3, formulate your own opinions. Oh my gosh, I remember being a teenager in high school, and everyone, including myself, was so kept on trying to fit in that they would literally eliminate their own opinions. Like, why? Why? You don't have to worry about other people's opinions about you and then from there try and fit in with other people that go with you to high school. If you had to choose between being respected or being liked, honestly, you would want to pick being respected. Being able to oppose those actions or like thoughts that you have of trying to fit in is way more mature of you and reasonable to do than trying to fake your way around and fit in. And why are you even doing this? Only because you're being around these people every single day for the next 3 or 4 years of your life? Once you're out of high school, you're never going to see these kids again, ever, most probably, besides your own best friends. Once you get older, you realize that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. As well as it's not your job to make people like you. You are who you are, and just stand by that. Next tip, be you. I think being yourself is really almost underrated when you're in high school and a teenager, because you're so worried about other people's opinions of you that you're kind of losing your sense of self. And when I say be you, I mean be you in a way that you say what you want, you do what you want, but obviously, respecting the limits and don't do anything insane. And by doing this, the right people will end up seeing you. Also, nobody truly cares. I hate to break it to you. Everyone is so hyper-focused on their own lives and own dilemmas that they're facing and going through that the last thing they're thinking about is probably you, a person that they're going to school with or someone that they knew they went to high school with for like years later down the road we're talking about. Also, most people barely even know themselves, so why does it matter to you what they think about you? You should never try to lose yourself seeking someone else's approval. Honestly, as well, the less you care, the happier you'll be. Like, you truly will become much more happier if you just are your authentic self and you're being you and you're living life and you're enjoying life just as you would like to. Not worrying about what other people think, not being so afraid of what others might say. Just simply by being you, you will be 10 times more happier. Okay, next one, it's honestly commonly heard a lot within conversations or online, wherever you might, get your information from, that you die once and that you live once. But honestly, you live every single day and you die once. And hence, every day is a new opportunity for you to become a better version of yourself. Stop worrying about other people. They are not living your life, and so they are not entitled to be giving comments or be affecting you in a way that is negative. If you think about it, the people you go to high school with, they're not even your family members, yet you're allowing them to affect you so much, and you worry so much about what they think about you. So try living all of that behind and just try to live your life every single day with a fresh start, a fresh mindset, and just go into it accepting and hoping for positive interactions, moods, and whatnot. Okay, so your mindset can make or break you. Like, literally make or break you. You put meanings to things in your life, right? And what I mean by this is that someone can't make you super happy or super upset unless you put a certain perspective and viewpoint when you're taking that information in. As an example, if I were to have a conversation with you, but I, instead of having a conversation, am cursing you in my language, would that affect you? Most probably not. And why is that? Because you don't know what I'm saying. You aren't able to associate those words that I'm saying with swear words or bad words, right? What you associate to certain events or conversations in your life is so crucial. And so in that same way, whatever someone is saying to you or doing to you, try to be critical and analytical of how you're perceiving and intaking that information. And this is why having or doing positive affirmations every single day is so effective. because you are putting those certain meanings behind the phrases that you are saying to yourself. You're looking at yourself from a positive perspective now because of those positive affirmations, and that honestly makes all the difference. A positive mind leads to a positive life. Next one, your surroundings are everything. In high school, we make decisions based on what we think other people will say about us or think about us, just as I've mentioned like a million times in this video. But honestly, that's the wrong way to go about it. And soon enough, you realize that making those decisions or judgments were actually the wrong ones. These decisions that you make, they affect you in like a million ways without you even realizing. And one of those decisions that we have to take, it's who we want to be friends with. If you're spending your time with low quality people, you bet yourself that within 2 years, you're literally going to become like that low quality person. If you hang out with someone who is stupid, you can bet that in 2 years, you're also going to become stupid. And why is this, you might say? It's because your thinking starts to literally become like theirs. They start thinking in a certain way, like, oh, I only want to do this when I'm older. Within 10 months, you'll be saying the exact same thing. Oh, when I'm older, I only want to be doing this. But 10 months ago, you didn't even have that type of thinking in your, like, that thought wouldn't have even crossed your mind. But suddenly now you're saying this? And this literally shows that this is them bringing you down to this level when before you were up here. But just because you were hanging out with low quality friends that are down here, you've also dropped down all the way here. But instead, what would happen if you tried to become friends with people who had a different approach to things in life? Or just had a way different viewpoint on certain situations that are like crucial, basically, in reality. These people's thinking are not restricted. They love broadening their knowledge and knowledge base. And this way, boom, so will you. You will become more disciplined, you'll become more motivated, and so forth. Only because you're associating yourself and surrounding yourself with people that are bringing you up to their level instead of helping stoop you down all the way to their level. In short terms, basically, you will be impacted in a positive way through the various interactions that you're having constantly every single day. Think of it this way. If you hang out with people who like to party, so will you. You will eventually become a partier. If you hang out with people who smoke, you will become a smoker. And I know some of you might be like, oh, if I hang out with a smoker, it doesn't mean I will end up smoking. Like, it's within my control. Yeah, 100%. Everything is within your control. Although the thing is, we can't predict our future. Maybe one day you get super down, super low, and then you go to your friend because you're like, oh my God, like I need their support right now. They're sitting there smoking, and then they decide to offer you, oh, would you like to take a smoke? And you're like, actually, yes. Why? Because you're in a state that's not able to realize and analyze the situation, that actually know doing that is not a wise decision. So basically, who you associate yourself with is bound to have an influence on you. And this final tip, I honestly think, is the most important one. You have to be uncomfortable for a few years of your life to become comfortable for the next, not even the next few years, the rest of your life. I know you probably have heard people say, oh, you must have all the fun in your 20s, go out, have experiences, party, this and that. By all means, try to incorporate that into your daily life. But definitely know the limits and know when to stop, and realize when you're overdoing it, when you're underdoing it, because it all will take a toll on you eventually. But according to this approach of being uncomfortable for a few years and comfortable for the rest of your life, you wouldn't really be thinking of partying and doing all these things. If you think about it, would you rather be working hard now when you're young and healthy and have the energy to, or when you're old and you don't have the time nor energy because maybe perhaps your body is giving up on you? I'm pretty sure you would choose the first option, to rather work hard now when you're young. As I said, I'm not denying the notion of enjoying your 20s, but definitely there needs to be the importance and emphasis of balance in your life. If you think about it, people who are giving you this advice of enjoying your 20s, they most probably haven't earned and lived on their own and had to try and sustain themselves. Or they probably are in a situation where they're living off their parents. Or they're probably in a situation where they're financially set because their family is super rich. But if you're not in any of those situations, the last thing you should be doing is enjoying your 20s and having a ton of memories that all you can do eventually is just look at, but you're like completely broke down the road. It is usually the people who are millionaires or billionaires that will never give you this type of advice to enjoy your 20s and go off partying 24/7. They would say, no, you work hard now so that the rest of your life you can relax and enjoy all that you have left in life. Millionaires and billionaires will tell you to put your head down and grind and create the life that you've always dreamt of. And if you don't know what your future entails, just ask yourself this one question. What do you want the most? When you're answering this question, take out other people's opinions and aspirations and hopes for you. All that noise, just put it way behind yourself when you're trying to answer this question truthfully. Because we all know that will literally hinder our true answer. But if you try to not consider all those things, boom, you will have your answer of what you want for your future. And that way you just start grinding on it, and your 20s is exactly the time to do it. So definitely, in conclusion of this last tip, try being uncomfortable for a few years of your life so that the rest of your life you can be comfortable. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope that you can take at least one piece of advice or tip from this video and try implementing it into your life. These are definitely things that I wish I knew when I was young, like I said, and so I'm honestly so happy that I could share this with you guys. But I think that's all for today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.